Well, for more now, I'm joined in the studio by Mark Kimmitt, a retired US Army General and consultant. Thanks so much for coming in.
Sure.
In seeing that the three-party talks in Tehran couldn't produce a ceasefire, I mean, what do you expect for these talks going forward now in Geneva with Staffan de Mistura, Turkey, Iran, and Russia, looking at rewriting a constitution?
Well, I really think they're getting ahead of themselves. I noticed that nobody in legitimacy from Syria is there. And candidly, I think at this point, Bashar al-Assad believes that he has won the civil war.
He may believe that, and let's be honest, Idlib is the last rebel stronghold, and many are expecting it to fall back into government hands. They don't know yet what the consequences of that will exactly be. But what do you think will happen to the thousands of Syrians who very much fear the regime? They're hiding in Idlib right now, and they fear for their lives.
I think that's my major concern as well. This really isn't a military issue at this point. It's a humanitarian issue. Where will those people go? Well, we've seen massive amounts of refugee flows coming out of Syria over the last 10 years. This could be as much as 3 million additional refugees. I think the international community needs to be thinking about what's going to happen, not in the post-Assad environment, because I think we're really talking a post-conflict environment. What I am glad to see is that the countries are now starting to talk about return of refugees, and that would include this group as well.
I'm trying to get a better idea of what options there are, though. We can look perhaps at these negotiations over the Constitution about how these people can be protected. And, you know, it's interesting. I spoke to a Russia analyst earlier who said Russia does not want to see any sort of refugee crisis because they need to work hand in hand with Turkey. They want to keep Turkey on side, and they need to look at negotiating a political solution that they can all play a fair part in. So what are the options? Can something be negotiated to actually protect the people that Bashar al-Assad's regime was actually trying to take out of Syria as opposition?
Well, I think more than anything else, Bashar al-Assad, to gain legitimacy in the international community in this post-Civil War environment, has to come up with a plan, probably humanitarian safe zones, humanitarian corridors, but it's clear that unless the moderate and extremists that are in Idlib are willing to put down their arms, we're going to see another humanitarian catastrophe, the likes that we've seen over the past 10 years.
Okay, let's hope that's avoided. I have to ask you this question. I mean, Russia, Iran, and Turkey do seem to agree that the U.S. role in Syria hasn't been entirely positive, to put it mildly. Obviously, the U.S. had an interest in eliminating Daesh and served toward that end by sending its troops there. But what is the U.S. role now?
Well, again, the U.S. continues to say that their only purpose and their only permitted purpose to be in Syria is to complete the final destruction of Daesh. There are obviously larger strategic issues. Try to reduce the influence, the expanding influence of Iran in the area, try to prevent the Russians from gaining a foothold back in the Middle East. But the United States, while it may have those aspirations, it doesn't have those authorizations to do that. They're only in there to defeat Daesh. And unless there is a political decision to add more roles and missions inside Syria, that's all the Americans are going to do.
Okay. Mark Kimmitt, we will leave it there. Thanks so much for coming in.